creating a new project in CC and CS6. Welcome to this video, where we'll explore all the settings available in the Create New Document window, both in CS6 and in Photoshop CC. I'm talking about them together because most settings are the same. Let's jump into it with CS6, and at the end, I'll talk about what's new in the Creative Cloud version. When you start Photoshop CS6, you'll see this splash screen. After it's loaded, you'll get the program with no project started, so your actions will be limited. There is no welcome screen per se like in Photoshop CC. Instead, you're immediately brought into the program, but even though you can interact with most of these tools, they will produce no results because we first need a project. Let's do that by using the hotkey Ctrl-N. If you're on a Mac, simply swap Control with the Command key. An alternative is to go to File, New. In this new document window, you get to decide the foundation of your project, but I can tell you that everything can be adjusted later, so it's okay to change your mind for most of these settings. Let's take everything step by step. First, everything we'll create in this course is intended for web use. That means you should always use pixels as your unit of measurement. By default, we're seeing centimeters in this field, so let's click and change that to pixels. As you see in that drop-down, we have quite a few other options, but for this course, we'll focus on things you will actually use in real-world projects. Moving further, the standard resolution for working on the web is 72 pixels per inch. This refers to the number of pixels that occupy a certain space on the screen. And we could stop here with the explanation, but I want to take it further for your personal knowledge. Some people mix up these terms, and hell, even I may have done so in the past, image size and resolution. The image size tells us how many pixels the image contains. For example, 500 by 100 pixels means the image contains 50,000 pixels in total. That's what we will always be interested in throughout this course. The resolution tells us the number of pixels found in an inch or centimeter. This does not affect your designs on screen. This is only useful when printing your images. The higher the number, the better your image will look when you print it. But again, this doesn't change the way your image will be displayed. It doesn't matter what number you put in here for your web design work, it will not affect your quality. So again, image size 300 by 300 pixels tells us how many pixels the image has, while the image resolution is helpful if you want to print it. If you want to do that, it's best you use 300 pixels per inch as your resolution and the CMYK color mode. Speaking of that, for web design work, we use the RGB color mode, which stands for red, green, blue, and the 8-bit option. Why 8-bit? Well, this is fine for web design purposes. 16 and 32-bit are more useful for photographers who perform serious edits. These modes describe how many bits of information are used to describe a single pixel. The more, the better, you might say, but with the increase, we also get a bigger file size. Your computer will require more processing power, but the end result for us doesn't justify all the hassle. Regarding background contents, we have white as our default, and this refers to what we'll see on our screen after we press OK. You can think of it as a white piece of paper. We have two other options. Transparent, which will show us a grid and the background color, which is this one here, but be advised you can't change it if you have this window opened. You have to close it first, choose your color, and then restart your process. And this is true with most pop-up windows in Photoshop. You have to take action, close it, and only then can you continue to interact with the rest of the interface. If we click on the advanced icon, you'll see something about your color profile and your pixel aspect ratio. I won't get into it right now, but know that for web design work, we use sRGB, and square pixels is perfectly fine. Moving up to the first input fields, your width and height are the most important settings you'll put in when you use this new project command. I prefer to type them in by hand and use the tab to quickly move between them, but Photoshop also has some presets available. We're on the default Photoshop size, but we can easily switch to one of these other options. And by choosing one, you'll see our size drop-down will show different results. If we choose International Paper as the preset, we'll get A4, A6, A5, and so on for our sizes, which tell us how big our canvas will be. If we switch to Web, you'll see we have various sizes you might be familiar with. Unfortunately, in this version of Photoshop, we don't have Full HD in the drop-down. Full HD is 1920 by 1080 pixels. Luckily, we can add our own presets. As I type in my width, you'll see the preset will have automatically changed to custom. After I'm done, I can choose Save Preset. In this new window, I'm asked about the name of the preset, plus all the information I want saved. Hit OK, and now you'll see this new option in the main drop-down. Up top, the first field is Name. This is where you put in your project name, but I prefer to do that only after I've saved it. And that's something to notice. We are creating a new project here, but we aren't saving it anywhere on our drive. Notice we weren't asked for a location. So I prefer to leave it with its default name here, and when I save it, then I'll name it properly. One last thing I'd like to share is this. If you mix up your settings here and you want to go back to the default Photoshop options, just hold down the Alt or Option key on the Mac and the Cancel button will change to Reset. Hit that and everything will revert to their initial state. This doesn't remove your preset though. If we click on this drop-down, you'll still see it here. To remove it, just have it selected and now this Delete Preset button can be used. You're going to get a warning telling you that you can't revert this action. Hit Yes, and that's it. Great, we're now done with this screen. In Photoshop CC 2017, there have been a few improvements, so let's jump into it and see what's what. When you click New, you'll get the following window, which features several tabs according to the type of work you're planning on doing. Here, we're interested in the Web category. Here we can see several presets, starting from 1366 by 768 all the way up to 1920 by 1080. If you want to see more, click on View All Presets. Underneath these blank documents, you'll also get several resources that can jumpstart your project. These templates are free to use and they're a great starting point if you want to quickly learn a few things about Photoshop. Click on any preview and you'll see its information on the right side. Things like its name, author, short description, and so on. If you're not sure about it, you can see a bigger preview by clicking on See Preview. Here it is, and you can scroll through this document. OK, let's download it and see what it's all about. It'll take a moment to sync it to your computer. After it's done, the Download button will change to Open. And here it is. It's ready to be edited, so feel free to jump into it guns blazing. For experienced Photoshop users, please note the document is labelled as Untitled. That's because these templates come under a new extension, .psdt, where the T stands for template. What's essential is you save your document with Ctrl+S after you're done with it. My advice, start from scratch. While these templates are great for total beginners, throughout this course I'm going to show you how to get a perfect start for each project. Let's go back to the New Document window. The project we've downloaded is going to now be available in the Recent tab. If you want to see only your templates, those are stored under Saved. But say these aren't for you. How do you set your own values? Well, let's go to the Web tab, and on the right side you can put in your own dimensions. If you want to quickly swap your width and height values, click on the grayed out orientation icon. All the other settings are good to go for web use. One peculiar change is that we can't make our background transparent from the get-go. If you want that option that's been available in Photoshop for ages, you have to click on the Advanced Options title, and it's still not available. That's because Adobe thought it would be a good idea for you to have to scroll down to the end. Now Transparent magically shows up. Why do you have to click on Advanced and scroll down to get it? No idea. It's one of those silly amendments that doesn't make sense. We'll discuss artboards a bit later on, but by default, Photoshop will assume you'll want to use them for your web projects. If that's not the case, you should uncheck this option. Finally, if you want to save your custom settings, enter a name for this document and hit this icon. Press on Save Preset, and now you'll find it in the Saved tab alongside your downloaded templates. Lastly, if you don't like this new window, you can use the old one. Close it and open up your preferences from Edit, Preferences, General. From here, enable Use Legacy New Document Interface. Hit OK and try it out. As you can see, now you're using the old method we spoke about earlier. My advice, use the new one even though it's a bit sluggish. Meaning, if you use Ctrl+N and hit Enter really fast, you'll see there's a serious delay until you get your new document. And that's how you set up a new project in CS6 and CC 2017. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.